In class, day 6 is domain and range of functions and relations. Domain is the inputs of a function or relation. Typically, it is the x values, and the range is the outputs of a function or relation, normally the y values. Back in the day, you learned about a cool function box where numbers would go into a function, and then they would come out and give you a new value. These are your inputs, because they go in. These are your outputs. A function, this is really important, one input goes to one output. Each input has exactly one output. 1x goes to 1 y value. Discrete relation. A discrete relation is the domain is a set of individual points when graphing do not connect the dots, so they are just points on a graph. Continuous relation, everything we've been doing for the last 2 days, is the domain of relation has an infinite number of elements, so it is written as an inequality or all real numbers. Inequality is what we've been graphing. All real numbers are when we were doing the domain and range of linear graphs or linear functions. When graphing, the relation can be graphed with a line or a smooth curve, mainly connect the dots. So on the front, we have all these discrete relations, and I really like them, but we're going to talk just about a few of them. I'm not going to do each example, and I wouldn't do each example in class either. But I do want to talk about the vertical line test. This is a shortcut. It is not a justification for how we are grading you. In different math classes, different teachers allow that. Vertical line test, if you understand it, allows you to see if there is one x to each y. If no vertical line intersects a graph in more than one point, the graph represents a function. If a vertical line intersects a graph in 2 or more points, the graph does not represent a function. So, for example, on this graph right here, your domain would be your x values, so they're single points, okay? So you have -4, which is an x, -1, 2, and 3. So I would write -4, -1, 2, and 3. Y values start at the bottom. I have -2, 1, 4, and 5. -2, 1, 4, 5. So what we look at is there an x for every y. Now, these points are not in order, so you would have to look at -4. -4 goes with 5. Or vertical line test, only one point hits that vertical line. So the answer would be yes. One input to one output. All right, let's look at the points down below it because it's already in a T-chart. Domain would be all your x values. If anything repeats, we only write it once. -5, -3, 0, and 2. That is the 4 values that we see here. Your range, 6, -5, 0, -3. Now it looks like there's an x for every y, but what we need to look at is, does each x go to its own unique y? So this x goes to 6. This x goes to -5, but the same x also goes to 6, which means -3 gives you 2 different answers. That's not a good thing. 0 goes to 6. This 2 goes to 0, 3, and this 2, which is the same thing, goes to -3. Sorry, 0 and -3 is what I said. Since an x goes to multiple values on these two, the answer would be no. One input goes to multiple outputs. So like I said, we're going to skip these 2 questions here. We're going to go to the back because these are functions. These are continuous. So domain is your x values. Where do your x values start and where do they end? So I'm going to start this right here. starts at -2, ends at 4. So I have the values of -2, which is less than or equal to, because I start there, to x, which is less than or equal to 4. I started at -2, I ended at 4. These are open circle or closed circles, so then I include them. Range, my lowest range value is -3, and my highest value is 4. So my range would be -3 is less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 4. Now what I do is I look here with vertical line test visually, and I'm like, hey, does each x go to its own y? Each x has its own y answer. There's 1 point for every x. So the answer would be yes. 1 input to 1 output. All right. Let's look here at this domain and range. So my domain starts at x's. So I start here and I end here. These go by 2's. It's really hard to see, but this is from -6 to 6. So -6 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 6. And then my range, my y value, is -4 to 4. -4 is less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 4. Now, what we're going to look at is there 1x to every y. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look right here at this point. This is -2, and if I were to draw a vertical line or put my pencil here, there's a point here and there's a point here. This x value of -2 goes to these 2 points. I can't have that happen. So the answer is no. 1 input, the -2, goes to multiple outputs. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump down to the absolute value on the bottom. Domain and range. So I look here and I see all my x's can go on forever, because if I extend this line, keeps going on forever and ever and ever. So over here there's an x value. I don't know what it is. Put it on my finger, but it can keep going on forever to the left. And same thing with this one, goes all the way to the right. So this would be all real numbers because there's no start or end. However, y's start here at this value right here. That is -3. But then it goes and grows. So what I would do is I would say -3 is less than or equal to y. There's no cap like the other ones because we don't have a start and end. These y's go on forever, so we don't have a start or end. Sorry, we have a start, but we don't have an end. Is this a function? So if I go through and I pick any x value, do I have 1 point to each x value? The answer is yes. So I have 1 input to 1 output. So your homework are these 6 questions. Okay. I would like you to understand that open circles means they are not included. So I'm going to do this one here. This one here, we start at 0 for x, and we end at 6. So since I start at 0, I have x's in the middle, and then I have 6. This is an open circle, so it's an inequality we don't have equal to. This is a closed circle, less than or equal to. Range values, same thing. Lowest value here is this exact same point, and my highest value is this point. I start at 1, 2, 3, 4, -4, and I go as high as -1. So I have -4 to 1 with y in the middle. Now, this circle is open, so once again, we do not have the equal to on the bottom. This one is closed, so it's less than or equal to. Now, as I go through, each x value has its own point, so 1 input goes to 1 output. You just got the other 5 questions to do.